Hey, this is Little Talk with Big Nikki.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Little Talks with Big Nikki. I have some sad news and I have some good news. The sad news is I can no longer say hello beautiful people of YouTube because, this is the good news, I am making this vlog also into a podcast. So yes, you heard me right. We will definitely be on Spotify. Still working out the details for other platforms, but if you have Spotify, this will be the first episode of the podcast, guys. Isn't that exciting? So hello, beautiful people in general, whatever platform you're listening to this on. So still going to be making the vlogs here on YouTube. Check them out if you want to visually watch, I guess. But from here on out until further notice, I'm gonna have a podcast up on Spotify under the same name, Little Talks with Big Nikki. More details to follow on my social media, getting it all figured out. Never did a podcast before, so just more things to learn, but it's a nice addition, and maybe we'll get some new fam listening to things because podcasts are all the rage right now. So stay tuned for more updates on that. But yes, we will be on Spotify. Okay. So what are we talking about today? Well, I had a lot of different topics flowing through my head, and this one just seemed to be the most relevant for right now, currently. And you know, I like to keep it real with you guys. So today we are talking about the struggle of being an extrovert. Yes. So all my introverts though, this is still for you. If you're an introvert, don't be like, this doesn't apply to me, I don't need to listen to this. Please still listen to this. Because maybe some things I'm gonna say, if you have extroverted friends, are going to make you, I don't wanna say realize some things, but maybe just understand our perspective better. And I don't want this to be like one-sided. It's not like an introvert's better, an extrovert's better. Like, no person's better because they're one or the other. A lot of people are mixes of both. But I think just gaining some understanding, and for my fellow extroverts out there, I want to see if y'all relate to this or if this is just like a me problem. But yeah, so let's jump into it. Extroverts and introverts. So I would definitely say I'm an extrovert, but I don't have a problem being alone. I like my alone time, but I wouldn't call myself an extroverted introvert because I'm not that either. My roommate, my best friend, is a introvert, and I love her to death, but we are very different because of that. She described something to me as having a social battery, pretty much. And I was like, what the heck does that mean? Like, I don't even know what you're talking about. So she explained it to me like, you know, you go to work, you go to school, go to like activities, hobbies, like whatever you have going on, and you have the social battery that for certain people, like her in her case, it gets depleted. And some people's are faster than others, but it's like a iPhone battery, where you can see it going down as you know you're using it. So the more social interaction they have, the faster their battery gets depleted. And I was like, this is really interesting to me. Like, honestly, I just love to hear her talk about it because I cannot understand it. And it's very hard as an extrovert, as a severe extrovert, to empathize with something that you literally cannot grasp. So I hear what she's saying, but I don't feel that at all. I don't think ever experienced what I would call a social battery that's getting depleted. I've never had that feeling of like, oh man, like I've had too much of people today. Like, of course people get on my nerves, people annoy me. Don't they always, don't they all? But I've never had like the feeling of like I can't take any more people, because I love talking to people. I love spending time with people. So I'm trying to understand this, but I can't. Another thing that I noticed is that extroverts tend to attract introverts, or people who are more introverted than you. A lot of the people I'm very close to, my inner circle of friends, a lot of them I would describe as either introverts or introverted extroverts. And I think it's kind of like that opposites attracts thing. But I'm not saying this is the case all the time, but I'm talking about me specifically. I'm tending to notice that the more introverted you are, the less friends you're going to tend to have. And that's not a bad thing. It's just, if you're an introverted person and you're not going to walk up to someone and initiate a conversation or initiate some sort of relationship, then naturally you're only going to be friends with the people who are in your life, whether that be through school or work or whatever. So it's not a bad thing. But as an extrovert, I have so many friends and so many relationships that I have lately especially been feeling, and I felt this way since I've been in college, so for pretty much 3+ years now, that I can't keep up all of my relationships the way I'd like to. And it gets really, I almost want to say stressful, for me to recognize that I have these people in my life that I love to spend time with, I care about them, but I'm like, I can't make time for you. And that sounds so bad, but it's like this give and take, because like I mentioned, like my roommate who's my best friend, like I'm like one of her closest and only like people, like I'm her person. And so like when she wants to do something, she immediately is like, oh, I'm gonna ask Nicole if she wants to do this with me or come with me or whatever, which is great. And I love that. But then on my side of things, as an extrovert, I have easily 15 people that I could myself ask to do an activity with, or they could ask me to do an activity with them. So then I'm left with like this, oh my gosh, like I can't always be there for like you because I need to be there for these other people. But then it's like trying to also, like I'm in school, I work, I have like a lot going on. So it's like getting my own self and stuff done and together. But then it's also like trying to have time for all these people. I hope what I'm saying is making sense. And I hope I'm not rambling. But it's almost like an introvert doesn't understand what an extrovert is going through in terms of keeping up relationships, and an extrovert doesn't understand always what an introvert is going through in terms of having very few close relationships, which honestly, it's at the end of the day, that's probably like a simpler way of life. You know, when you have like, and I would say like I definitely have an inner circle and an outer circle of people, like people who I talk to literally every day, like every week. And then there's definitely like an outer circle of people where I'm like friends with you, like maybe sometimes we'll get coffee, we'll like reply to each other's Instagram stories, but maybe we're not always spending time together. There's like these different levels of like relationships, but as an extrovert, I have more of them. And I think I want like the introverts out there to understand, like if you have an extroverted friend, it can be like a lot for them to juggle all of these relationships and trying to make everyone happy. Because like I said before, taking a step back, a lot of extroverted people attract more introverted people. So naturally, you have, I'm like making this up, if you have like 3 really introverted friends and like they have maybe like you and 1 or 2 other people that they're like really close with, like talk to, text all the time, hang out with, whatever, but you're like one of like 2 or 3 people, so you're like in that person's circle. You have 3 people right there who are always asking you to do stuff with them and spend time with them, which I said is great. Like, you're their person, and that's like a very good feeling. But then you're like, holy crap, I have those 3 people, but then on the back end I have 10 other people that I want to see and spend time with. And I'm not saying that introverts are needy. That is not like at all what I'm saying. I'm not saying like that at all. But I'm just using this as an example to try to get people to understand from an extroverted person's point of view. And I'm being very honest, it almost becomes stressful to maintain relationships and try to keep everybody in your life happy. And I'm not saying to be like a people pleaser, like that's like a whole nother topic. I'm not a people pleaser. Like, I'll tell you no if I can't do something. I've said no to like plenty of things and plenty of people before, but I would like to tell you yes. And the reality is you're going to tell certain people yes more than other people. And I don't think that's a bad thing. But when you're like examining your life, you're like, holy crap, well, I see this person like every week, maybe twice a week, and I haven't seen this person in 3 months. Like, is that okay? I don't know. Like, it's not that you don't want to spend time with these other people, but it's just, there's so many relationships to maintain that it is mentally exhausting sometimes and mentally draining. But I don't get low on a social battery. That's the difference. Is I think maybe I should look at it this way. Like, an introvert who does have like a social battery, they get depleted right then and there in the moment. Whereas extroverts, maybe we have that same battery, but instead of getting depleted like all in one day, like, you know, going to like a football game, then going to an after party, like we don't get depleted right then and there, but then it's like we get depleted in a longevity sense. Like, long term, we get mentally burnt out and like stressed that we can't keep up and maintain these relationships with everyone in our lives. Yeah, I think that's how I'm gonna look at it. But I wouldn't call it a social battery. I would then call it a relational battery. And that's, I never get sick of talking to people. I never get sick of spending time with people. Like, literally, if I could like meet someone for coffee, meet someone for lunch, and like have someone over for dinner, and like have someone over doing homework with me, if I could like have that all day, every day, as long as you're like a person in my life that like feeds me positivity and energy, and like I like having you around and spending time with you, then I don't think I would get sick of that. But it's not me not wanting to spend time with you or me getting drained by spending time with you. It's me being drained that I don't have the time to spend with you and this person and this person and this person because there's so many of you in my aura. I really hope I'm making sense. I'm extremely blessed. I'm not making this video or this podcast to say that I would change me as like a person. I think I've always been more extroverted. I definitely have gotten more extroverted as I get older. And I think that that's a God-given thing. Just like I think that it's a God-given thing that some people are introverted. Like I said, I don't think one's better than the other. And clearly both come with their pros and cons, their struggles and their benefits to them. But I think I just want to like come on here, I guess, to like express to like any of the people in my life watching this that are like, why hasn't she texted me, like seeing if we can hang out? It's like, cause I don't know, like I don't know when to do it. And I get so stressed, and I want to like include something in this. I think it was like really good timing. Just this past Sunday, our pastor at King's Church, Noah Nickel, did a message about commitments, and pretty much meaning like if you commit to something, you better stick with it. And if you feel like you can't commit to something, say no to it. And I was telling a good friend of mine this morning that I did have breakfast with. It was like very last minute, very spontaneous, which is not like me. But we had breakfast and it was great. And I got to catch up with him and it was good. But I was telling him I have commitment phobia, which is not a fear of keeping commitments, but to me is a fear of even making them in the first place. So I'm sure there is time, like in the mornings on some days, or like maybe even in the evening, something where I could reach out to a friend of mine and be like, hey, like, do you want to like get breakfast or like get dinner or like come over for dinner or like something? And I could like make these plans. But I have like such a fear like with school and like my work schedule and like trying to like get everything done that I need to get done and make sure is done personally and like for clients I have and like my responsibilities, that I am going to have to cancel on that person. I was telling another friend of mine, like I pride myself on being reliable and dependable. So for me to cancel on somebody, I like don't do that. I honest to God don't know if I've ever done that. And if I did, it must have been something like pretty severe, because once I like make a thing like in my calendar, like I haven't seen this person in 3 months, we're having breakfast, the chances of me like texting you the night before and saying like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't make it, is pretty much like 0.0001%. Like I'm not that type of person. When I make a commitment, I really, really try my best to stick to it. I'm sure there's times I have failed at that. But for the most part, like I pride myself on keeping that. So I have a phobia then where I don't even make a commitment to begin with, because I don't want that like weight or like responsibility to keep it if I feel like too stressed out with everything else. So it's such a, oh my gosh, it's such a struggle. Like I'm getting this off my chest too, because I just need to like, it's been stressing me out because I know there's people I should reach out to. I know there's people I haven't seen in weeks and months that like, even if I just texted them, it'd probably be better than nothing. But honest to God, like texting is like a lot of time too. I'm one of these people where I'd rather talk to you on the phone and like get stuff done, like clean as I'm like talking to you. Like texting, I literally have to be texting you. I can't be drying dishes or like doing laundry and like texting you. Like I literally have to stop what I'm doing and like text you. And that's like so hard for me. That's such like a difficult concept. I don't know if I'm just like old fashioned grandma or like if other people feel this way too, but I have a fear of like making plans with people that I am worried I can't keep, because I'm too, I guess you could call it proud, but I'm too like whatever to like cancel. Like I never want to cancel on somebody. So I think, yeah, like I said, it's just understanding each other, like understanding that your introverted friends, like you're like their person, and so like when they want to do stuff, they want to do it with you. But then also introverted people to understand that your extroverted friends have a lot of people that they are friends with and they want to spend time with, and it's not that you are any more or less important, but it's just like this, we're trying. Like I'm speaking for all of us, but we're trying to get it right, and we're trying to balance all these relationships that we have. And like I said, some people get put on the back burner more than others, and it sucks that that's like what it is. But I don't know, like I can't give the same amount of time to like everybody, because you're always gonna have like the real close people, and then you're gonna have, like I said, you have like circles is how I think of it. Like I have inner, little out, and it just stretches out to people like, you're like acquaintances, or if you pass them like on the street, you would say hi, but like, you're not gonna probably stop to talk to them. But like there's so many like varying relationships that we all have, introverts and extroverts. It's just overall extroverted people tend to have more, I think. I think that's just a product of us putting ourselves out there. Like whether that is in person or on social media, that we have more of like an active presence, like whatever it is. But this video is like not to speak to every introvert and every extrovert, because we are all severely different. And that's a very good thing. But I just wanted to make this to kind of just voice the struggle. I don't really have answers. Just telling y'all like what I'm mentally processing and going through, and the struggle that keeps kind of like occurring with that. And then too, like I said, just to have a better understanding of everybody. And I wish I had my roommate on this episode with me, but I don't think she wants to do a vlog or a podcast episode with me. I'll see if I can convince her, because I would love to get her perspective and her words from like an introverted side, so this isn't just a one-sided conversation. But yeah, so I think that's like all I have for you guys on this episode. Remember that we are going to be putting these episodes out every other week. Make sure if you are on YouTube that you're subscribing, you're liking this video, commenting, sharing with friends, podcast people. Same thing for you. Make sure you're like following this podcast, leaving reviews, sharing it with friends. That's really the best way to grow anymore, I think, is word of mouth. I'm gonna like, that's a little marketing tidbit. Everyone thinks like social media is like the end all be all, and like, oh, create an Instagram page and it'll solve all your problems. And it's like, well, no, because only people that want to follow you are gonna follow you. So what makes someone want to follow you? All right, we'll get into that in another episode. I do want to talk about like social media influencer behavior type thing. I think it's like really interesting, especially for someone in my position trying to like grow their following, for mainly the purpose of, you know, these videos and this podcast. But I think it's just like an interesting human psyche concept to delve into and think about. But make sure to share with your friends. Word of mouth is like everything. So if you like this content, if you feel what I'm saying, I hope this is somewhat relatable to somebody out there. And stay tuned for the next episode. We talk about different things every week. For any new podcast listeners out there, this is like very just life driven. Just as life is happening, I want to talk about it. We talk about some faith-based things in a couple episodes. It just really depends what I'm feeling and what life is throwing my way that week or two before I record. So stay tuned for more content. I thank y'all so much for listening, watching, sharing, and I hope y'all have great weeks, and I will see you again soon.